today I have the strength.
Jay North was the famous child star in Dennis the Menace, but behind the scenes he endured horrific mistreatment. Though he ultimately quit Hollywood and joined the Navy, his past continued to haunt him at sea in a shocking way. He was famous for causing trouble on screen as the beloved prankster Dennis Mitchell. As a child star, he shot to fame faster than he grew up, until he escaped.
How come you always say thank goodness instead of good night?
Jay Waverley North Jr. was born in August of 1951 in the very town that would make him a famous child star and a forgotten teenage has-been, Hollywood. In fact, his mother, Dorothy, was a secretary for an executive of the American Federation of Television and Radio Artists. His father, on the other hand, was the real menace. He drank excessively. Then, before Jay's 5th birthday, he walked out on his family, never to be seen again. Young Jay found solace in the silver screen. He had an innate passion for television and expressed an interest in being on the other side of the screen. His mother didn't push him, but she did leverage her connections to get Jay onto his favourite TV show at the age of 6. His appearance on Cartoon Express, a local LA children's show, captured the eye of more than just audiences. The Hollywood talent agent extraordinaire Hazel McMillan also happened to be watching. Jay's photogenic appearance really stood out to her, and the very next day she reached out to his mother with an offer to represent him. But Jay's mother proved that she wasn't your average stage mum. Working in the industry, she knew the deeply disturbing stories of child actors and didn't want the same for her son. But in the end, she couldn't deny the truth. Jay was a star waiting to shine. Once she gave her approval, Jay's very first professional job wasn't on a sitcom or a movie, it was on a game show. He made his live television debut on Queen for a Day with host Jack Bailey. From there, he landed modelling and commercial work, booking a string of small appearances on some of the biggest NBC variety shows. In 1958, Screen Gems launched a massive nationwide talent search to cast the star of their upcoming series, Dennis the Menace, based on the comic strip. Jay was just 6 years old when he walked into that audition room, and it was clearly a lot of pressure for someone so young. Despite his talent and natural charm, his initial audition didn't go very well. In fact, it went so poorly that it could have ended his career before it even began. However, McMillan proved why she was the best agent in the business. She pushed the studio to give him a second chance. The next audition went so well that the studio invited him back to screen test with his would-be TV family. By the end of summer, they had a pilot in the pipeline. But then for a while after filming wrapped, there was nothing but radio silence. It looked like Jay's big break might not happen after all. Undeterred, he kept working, landing a guest role on Wanted Dead or Alive, and racking up credits on other popular shows. As his TV resume grew, so did his chances of stardom. As he waited to hear back from the Dennis producers, he also got to work on feature films, landing small roles in The Miracle of the Hills and The Big Operator. But it was early 1959 that delivered the real prize, confirmation that he would play the one and only Dennis Mitchell.
Play with your electric train. I didn't get it.
Jay already resembled Dennis from the comics, but that wasn't good enough for the network. The producers wanted total accuracy. As such, throughout the duration of the series, he had to bleach his strawberry blonde hair to the character-accurate platinum, requiring touch-ups every few weeks. In October 1959, Dennis the Menace premiered on CBS and became instantly popular with viewers. Audiences adored the mischievous kid with a heart of gold, and so did the network. At just 8 years old, Jay North was earning $500 per episode, the equivalent of more than $5,000 today. Contrary to the tragic tales of many child stars, Jay's mother didn't use her son's money. In fact, Dorothy never touched his earnings. Instead, she kept her full-time job at AFTRA and hired business managers to oversee Jay's income and investments. But while his mother didn't use him, other people did. While his mum focused on her full-time job, she appointed her sister Marie and brother-in-law Hal Hopper to act as Jay's on-set guardians. For Jay, being Dennis the Menace meant more than just pulling funny antics on set. On top of filming, he had to shill the show's sponsors in a slew of commercials. Then, often on weekends, he crisscrossed the country with the Hoppers to make promotional appearances. By the second season, Dennis the Menace was a full-blown cultural phenomenon. Sharing the ranks with the top 20 television shows of the time, it catapulted Jay to crossover fame. In later interviews, he revealed that the Hoppers maintained an iron grip behind the scenes. They didn't allow him to hang out with fellow child actors or crew members and forced him to eat meals isolated in his dressing room. Between 3 hours of on-set tutoring and endless work demands, Jay quickly began to buckle under the mounting pressure. It turns out, no amount of money was worth his childhood. By 1961, Dennis the Menace was entering its third season, and Jay's paycheck had ballooned almost as much as his fame had, reaching $2,500 an episode. Despite the money and continued ratings success, he felt overwhelmed and deeply frustrated. Fame had given wealth, but it had taken much more. According to Jay, his on-set guardian, his Aunt Marie, was both physically and emotionally coercive towards him. If he missed a cue or stumbled over a line, he wasn't just scolded, he was punished. His aunt would take him off set and secretly hit him, always careful not to leave marks where anyone could see. No one, not his mother, the cast, or the crew, knew what was going on. Jay was too scared to speak up, afraid that if he did, he'd face worse punishments from his domineering aunt and manipulative uncle. So he smiled for the cameras, delivered his lines, and quietly endured a reality that was anything but innocent. By season 4, Jay's pay had risen to $3,500 per episode, but the money wasn't enough to mask how much he'd outgrown the show, or to cushion the blow of a devastating loss. The demise of co-star Joseph Kearns, who played Mr. Wilson. The loss devastated Jay and shifted the show's tone permanently. By the end of season 4, the show's ratings were dropping, and so was Jay's desire to continue. In early '63, the studio finally pulled the plug on Dennis the Menace. While the world mourned the end of a beloved show, Jay quietly celebrated. For years afterward, he couldn't bring himself to watch a single episode of the series that had taken his childhood away from him. After Dennis the Menace, Jay's mother enrolled him in prep school, but the damage had already been done. Isolated on set for years and only receiving part-time tutoring, he couldn't relate to his classmates and struggled academically. The fame that had given him so much had left him socially stunted and emotionally lost. He tried to keep up his acting career, landing a role in Wagon Train in 1964, but he couldn't seem to break free of the role that made him famous. Casting directors couldn't unsee the blonde mischief maker. In 1966, he got a second chance at stardom. He landed the lead in Maya, an adventure film set in the Indian jungle. Playing a boy who bonds with a sacred white elephant, the role was a far cry from Dennis the Menace. When the film proved successful, NBC opted to turn it into a television series, giving Jay a chance to redefine his career. For exclusive perks like early access to new videos, priority replies to your comments, and to have your say on future content, consider becoming a Factinate member. On top of that, your support helps keep the channel going. Click the link in the description for more details. He later recalled that director John Barry was a very theatrical man, but also a screamer. Barry's tirades didn't spare anyone, not Jay nor his co-star Sajid Khan, but it was all worth it in the end. Despite its behind-the-scenes tension, Maya reintroduced an older Jay to new audiences and transformed him from child star to teen idol. He graced the covers of magazines and his face was plastered across bedroom walls nationwide, but ratings didn't match his popularity. Slotted against TV titans like The Jackie Gleason Show, NBC axed the series after just one season. Still, it was the redemption that Jay needed. Despite the series' short run, he looked back on Maya with pride. With a more serious acting credit to his name, once filming on the series wrapped, he returned to high school and graduated in 1969. It seemed like he'd found his real role in life at last. After Maya, Jay discovered a way that he could continue acting without the crippling pressures of fame: voice work. He began doing voiceovers for animated shows like Arabian Nights, Here Comes the Grump, and The Pebbles and Bam Bam Show. In the early 70s, he even took his talents to the dinner theatre circuit. While touring the show Butterflies Are Free, Jay met actress Kathleen Brooker. She had a young son from a prior marriage, but the connection was instant. After returning to Los Angeles in mid-1973, they got married. Sadly, the honeymoon lasted as long as a curtain call. The couple separated in April 1974 and were divorced by October. That same year, Jay shocked audiences with his final leading role in The Teacher, an R-rated thriller that showed just how far he'd come from Dennis the Menace. Despite a solid performance that critics praised, fans still couldn't separate Jay from his child star image. Given the film's subject matter, audiences were left feeling uncomfortable. By 77, Jay had grown tired of living in Dennis Mitchell's ever-growing shadow, but his next move left everyone stunned. After years of acting classes and disappointing callbacks, he quietly stepped away from Hollywood and enlisted in the US Navy. However, even there, miles out to sea, Dennis would still haunt him. When Jay reported for duty aboard the USS Iwo Jima, he was just another recruit. But his famous past didn't go unnoticed. Despite glowing evaluations, he quickly became a target of ridicule among his shipmates and superiors for being Dennis the Menace. He only lasted a year before he'd had enough and wanted out. Jay's Navy experience was no Hollywood adventure and proved that he'd never be able to outrun his past. After requesting a reassignment, he served the rest of his time aboard the USS Dixie in California. He was honourably discharged on August 10th, 1979. Thanks to his mother's early decision to invest his money, Jay didn't need to return to acting to pay the bills. He had real estate investments that paid him better than any small role would. Instead, he faded from the spotlight and worked quietly in the health food industry. Still, he couldn't quite see a life for himself that didn't involve a camera and at least a little fame. By the late 80s, Jay had had enough of being called a has-been. In a bold comedy sketch for HBO's Not Necessarily the News, he appeared dressed as an adult Dennis Mitchell, complete with overalls and a slingshot, taking revenge on the entertainment industry with a long list of grievances. It was darkly cathartic. In 1991, Jay tried marriage again. This one only lasted 3 months. He had wrestled with his trying love life, but all of that was about to change. He met Cindy Hackney at a Gainesville charity event in 1992, and this time the connection stuck. A year later they married, and Jay moved to her hometown of Lake Butler, Florida. He also stepped into the new role of stepfather for Hackney's 3 daughters. Jay's move to Florida wasn't just about love, it was liberation. He knew the only way to escape the long shadow of Dennis Mitchell was to leave Hollywood behind, for good. When the 1993 Dennis the Menace movie came out, curious critics and film fans couldn't help but wonder, what happened to the original Dennis Mitchell? Rather than shy away from his past, Jay exposed it. For the first time, he publicly shared the truth about the mistreatment he'd endured as a child actor. By 1997, he was ready to face the past without fear. He started attending fan conventions and working with at-risk youth in Florida's juvenile justice system. As a correctional officer, he used his painful experiences to help kids on the edge. He also began working with A Minor Consideration, an organisation set up to support child stars. Jay stayed in Lake Butler and remained married to his 3rd wife until his final day, on April 6, 2025, when he succumbed to cancer at the age of 73.
I can go on with my life now, but I can't forget the pain of those years. I mean, you can't forget it. But I think now I can go on with my life and I can find a happy life. I gave those people years of happiness. I gave my childhood to make them happy. And now I want to concentrate on making myself happy now. To hell with everybody else.
If you enjoyed this Factinate video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more incredible stories. If you want a say in who we cover next, join our membership program through the link in the description for exclusive perks. Your support means everything to us. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.